we were talking idle games last couple days, so I thought I'd make a tutorial on some idle games and some of the logic. So I don't have the greatest idea for an idle game. This might suck, but we'll get through some of the logic and how we set the logic up, and that's the important thing. So debating on what to do, and I originally made those things. You can see them, my pretty little people, and it was almost like a medieval town thing. And I thought, you know what, like I've got a history in mining. I mined for like 20 years, just shy of 20 years. So oh, what if we did an idle miner thing? Yeah, I thought of a few things to kind of go with that. That might be kind of interesting. So, oh yeah, I'm going to put down just some images because we're going to need a canvas. In fact, I'm going to put the canvas over to scale with screen size. Make sure my screen size is, you know, set to something good. So no matter what I do with the sizing now, as long as things are anchored in place, they will be anchored in place. Cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's just set some of these out here. So let's just duplicate those a bit and just fill these out. Like, I started making this stuff and I was like, well, I don't know why I don't just take an image and throw it into a sprite and, you know, dumb it down kind of idea. It's really only for a tutorial. Not like I gotta worry about copyright. Okay, so I'll explain to you what these things are and roughly how we'll use them, the thought process anyways. Just so we can see them all. Okay, so in mining, we're going to have a starting point of, we have a shovel. So we have the digging capabilities of the actual mine, the actual pit, right? Which is, of course, supported by the number of trucks that we have to actually ship this ore to wherever we need to go, which will be to the concentrator plant, right? Which is where most of my time in mining has been, is in the concentrator plant. So this guy here, he doesn't look like much, but this would actually be represented by a what's called a sag mill. I'm just going to put a panel behind everything so we're not looking at the sky. We can have a little more of a dark theme, light theme, dark theme, light theme. Something like that, yeah, I suppose. Easier on the eyes, I suppose. Not great. It's probably going to be ugly, but whatever. So this little guy here, in mining, typically your mill actually has a few of those things, but these things are huge. There's usually now 1,200 tons full of steel and rocks that these things kind of dump out after it's kind of processed by a crusher. But anyways, these things crush rock up and they spit it out. That's kind of like one of your starting points to a plant. This guy is a separation where we take dirt that's like in here that looks just like rocks, but it'll have like those flakes of copper or gold and stuff in it. We want, obviously we want those minerals, but we don't want, you know, the other 99.9% of whatever's in this truck, right? Because it's just rocks, right? So we break it up, we smash it up, and then we have to separate it more or less with chemicals, and we get the gold and copper out, or whatever minerals we're going for. The other thing is, then we need to be shipping what this produces, so we can get it to probably something like a dock, to which then it ends up being transported someplace, like in Most of the places I worked at, the last place it was shipping it over to Japan and into smelters there. But yeah. So anyways, we have these things kind of laid out in some sort of ugly manner. So this guy's just going to be some sort of background. So ideally, we want these to be kind of clickers, more or less, where we can buy things to increase production and so forth and make kind of like a chain. Now, we should probably make some other things, so like some supporting systems, like maybe like you have to pay for power kind of idea or whatever it is. And I thought what would be kind of a neat way to help kind of see how we interact more with data is we're going to make another panel. We'll even stick it right over top of this stuff. Dun, dun, dun. It's hidden. It's hidden. And we will call this, a big part of mining anyways is the stock market, right? Yeah, you're only going to make as much money as the mineral's worth. So I thought, well, that would be kind of a neat little mechanic, I think, is we could essentially have a miniature stock market happening in our game, and as it fluctuates over time, the amount of money you get will obviously change, right? That's my thought process anyways. So now a stock, let's put this guy over here. So this will, we'll call this our bars, and I'm going to spread this out just down here, just like that. Now in here I am going to place images, ugly images, and in this I am going to put down a horizontal layout group. So these images we'll put kind of like that, right? We probably don't need that many, just something like that. Sure. Now, the important thing, technically I don't technically need that anymore, but I'm going to make sure all of these anchor points, so I'm going to hold down Shift, is down here. And that's because now if I want to scale them, they go up and they go down. Just like that, right? I mean, we could also go, I guess, into the negatives. Usually your market's not negative. It's not like copper's ever a negative value, or gold. So we have these little things here. Now we're only going to really be putting out one of them, I think, but ideally we could do a whole bunch of them. So let's call this copper. And I'm just going to auto size. You know what? I'm going to go like this. You know what? Yeah, let's auto size it. There we go. Now let's rotate it. Right, okay, so there's copper. We'll stick it like that. And then maybe we can have like a gold. Maybe a silver. And I don't know, let's uranium. I don't know if I spelled that right. To tell you the truth, I don't care that much. Copper, gold, silver. What would be another common one? Maybe nickel. Sure. All right, so there's all of those. I'm just gonna move those down a little bit. All right, so these things have scales. Now, and you could do these in a lot of different ways. So, okay, so there we see a scale of 28. I don't know. Will that be good enough, I think. What does 30 do? 30 takes us out. I think 25. 25 should be our high. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is let's just get those bars working first. So this here is going to be, we'll just call it our bar. We'll make another proxy, and this one will be, we'll call this one price. So this guy can be int, maybe int or a float. Maybe we'll try this with an int. And this guy will be, you know, game objects. And I'm just going to drag these things in. So we have copper, gold, silver, and you might want to name these things just because it would make it a little easier for you. Right? So then we also have base pricing, right? So I wonder if that would be easier to do a float, right? I mean, if we kind of go somewhat realistic, I mean, copper's what, $3 a pound or something? I don't know. We'll say 1,000 for gold, and we'll say 50 for silver. I think uranium's super expensive. Let's go like 2,500. And nickel's not very much. Something like that. Poor copper's way the hell down there. So, how are we going to represent that into the bars? Well, we're going to need, I guess, in this situation, we're going to want a high and a low, right? Like, for example, we could do a current copper price, and we could do, we'll say a max. I guess that doesn't need to be a variable per se, but let's do a current gold price, current silver price, current uranium price, Alright, so we have these different prices now, right? These will actually be those. So I'm just going to put a new state here. So if we want copper to represent from that scale of that bar on this guy on a scale of 0 to 25, what do we need to do? I'm going to use a sample curve. You can also use a remap. I don't know if I have remapping. Oh, I do have a float remap. Ecosystem's down right now, so I don't know if I should use the remap, because I think it's an ecosystem action. I mean, it would work. It would work just fine. The curve will work too. I mean, I'm just going to use a linear line, which is why it's going to be the same as the remapping, right? And we're going to sample it at the current copper price, and this is going to be our copper scale, right? So I'm going to go into this thing and I'm going to say, okay, if we're sampling it at, you know, copper, well, copper right now is 3. It's a lot bigger than 0 to 1. So what's the high end of our copper going to be timeline wise? Let's say copper can get up to, we'll say 15. Okay. So there it is, 0 to 15, that price. Now, scale-wise, the value will be 25, because that's the scale we want that bar at, right? So that there will now array get. Actually, you know what? We could probably use hash tables for this if you really want to be dynamic, but you know, I don't think we even really need the array proxy. For this one, yeah, but I don't think we actually need it for this one. We can probably get rid of that one. But we'll keep this one. Right, so we know that this guy's our copper, right? Yeah, he's our copper. So we're going to scale him to the copper scale. Right? Pretty simple. And we could put them actually all right in this state, but let's just separate them. Right? Let's go like that. And then copy him and make one for gold, silver, uranium, and nickel. So, okay, let's do gold. We're going to sample it at the current gold price there. Gold scale. Now, we're going to want the 25 can stay, but we don't want 0 to 15. We'll say gold can peak out at, say, a value of time of 2,500. Right, so there's 2,500. There we go. And we're going to take the gold image, that guy there, and we're going to do the gold scale. And we'll call this one gold. I love gold. Right? And then silver. Actually, you know what? We probably don't need, I really don't need this many of them, I don't think. I'm going to get rid of the nickel and the uranium. We'll just do the 3. So let's do the current silver price, and we'll call it silver scale. And then he'll be this guy at silver scale, current silver price, silver scale, silver, 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 silver. All right, so silver we have roughly about 50. So with him, let's take him up to, I don't know, we'll say 150. There we go. And this one will be silver. So this will update all our graphics. Let's just link all those together. The order of these won't matter. Right? So let's call that update UI, market UI, right? So then we could have this say, you know, based on time, and the time system can actually come from somewhere else. For now, let's go with random float. And you could do all sorts of math on this, and let's go with negative, I don't know, 0.2 to 0.2, and we'll call this the copper change. And let's go copy, paste, and let's go like negative 20 to 20, call this gold change. And we'll say negative 1 to 1 silver change. Right, so then all we're going to do is float add. So maybe I can do the multiple. You don't have to. I can add float multiple. It might be an easy way to do it. Do it one action. Why not, right? No, that's not what we want at all. That's not going to be. That ain't right. No, sorry. All right, so we're going to take current copper price and we're going to add copper change. Bloop. We'll take the current gold price and add gold change. And yes, same with the silver. Current silver price, add silver change. Right, so then what's going to happen after that? We're going to need to update the UI. So I'm just going to go with send an event to self to update market UI. So let's make an event, say, you know, a day has passed. We'll call it a day and we'll stick it here. Right, now, if I want to, we can put that in the inspector and we can see that happen in real time, right? So, all right, where are we here? We have current copper price. Now we're getting a negative. So we had a change. Uh-oh. No, wait, no. Copper change, gold change, current copper price. Copper scale, current copper price. What? Something isn't right. Oh, you know what? Crazy. So our current copper price right now is 0. I didn't actually bring any of those over. Current gold price, let's bring that over. So like normally if you really wanted to set this up, we'd make lists and we'd just pull through the list, which is why you have kind of 2 lists. You can run different data. I guess in reality, just running these 3, we don't even need that. Like this will do just fine, right? And we could throw all sorts of little bits of logic to get these things to, you know, favor different areas and stuff. But as time goes on now, they will just slowly go up and down, right? And we could use those values to sell our material from this side to make our money, right? So we have this, the market, and we have the mine, right? So we might want to make a button. Well, let's make a little button here, and we'll call it, you know, the market button. Market, apparently. Market. Okay, so he's our market. Let's stick him down there. And then let's label these things. I'm going to duplicate him and put him in the market as well. And when we're in the market, let's go back to the mine. Right. Clears mud. Let's make sure he put him. We don't necessarily have to hide him, but we want to put him behind anyways. So we're not. I mean, we could always deactivate him, but it's not a big deal, right? So I like if I'm doing UI stuff like this kind of thing, I like to put my logic in just a couple places. Like for example, let's do a button array. Right, so at the moment we only have 2 buttons. So we have the market button and we have the go back to the mine button. So we'll say open market, and this one can be open mine. And we could just stick them right here like that, add those 2 little events. So if we hit open market, what do we want to happen? We want this guy to be active. And then we're just going to go right back over here. And if we hit the open mine button, we want that same guy to be inactive. And then we just go right back there. And just like that, we all of a sudden have you know, we got this our little thing here, those things which, I mean, they're not updating yet, so maybe we should put that in. I don't know if I want to put the time on them or if we're at time add time into here, right? Okay, so what else can we do? Let's add mine production. You know what? And these guys should all be buttons. Just like that. And now they'll work on touchscreen, they'll work with the old input system, they'll work with the new input system. It won't matter. Not at all, my precious. No siree. Alright, so the other thing these things should probably have is I'm going to put an image. We'll call this the progress. Now, I'm going to use, there's so many different ways you can do little bars. I'm just going to look up a square, right? You should have like a default Unity square in here. That will mean we can now change this to build, and we can change it to horizontal. Look at that, just like that, right? Now we can just stretch this out however the hell we want it, and we can easily have that guy there now has a progress bar. Doop. Like that. Let's make them, you know, green. A little darker. There we go. And then let's make another one and stuff them on this guy. And we're just going to keep duplicating this thing and moving it around, because why the hell would we do anything different? Stick with what's working, right? Now, anyone with OCD, like the bar size is probably driving you mental. Like nothing's fucking lined up or at all. Whew. Sucks to be you guys. All right. But the beauty part, you guys can set it up whichever way you want. I mean, listen, like this, this probably won't even be a good game at all. But so that's not what matters. What matters is the logic. All right, so now we have these different bars. All right. So these things we probably should. Okay, that's called a seg mill. That's called floats, and I realize floats when you see it, and it's like, where's the A? And typically mining, like we don't use the A. Really, I mean, some people do, I think, but it stands for flotation, and for some reason that's just the way it's shortened. I know it looks weird, but that's the way we did it for like 20 years, so fuck off. All right, so there, just now we got some better kind of structure happening here. So we obviously have some sort of count. I don't know if we should put a panel for that. Does that matter? I suppose it really doesn't matter, but why not? Go with our dark and dark theme there. Let's just call this some data. So we're going to have, let's call this shovels. And he can sit right up there and go like that. And I think those are going to be too big. When in doubt, do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. Okay, so we will need that to be a little smaller. And all right, there we go. I just realized we got two trucks and trucking. Well, isn't that going to be confusing? All right, so what are these things? Well, these should be, you could put a couple different lines in here, because this could be like the number that we have, or this could be the value per day, right? So let's say okay, so okay, shovel or per shovel, and let's, you know, we can give this any kind of number we want. Let's just go with like 0.5, or per truck, let's say 0.25, and or stockpile. All right, so should almost have these kind of feed into a chain. Now, those, we could also bring up the time on those. I don't know. There's different things you can do, because you can say, like, you could have like upgrades that do like time-based stuff that increases it. But okay, so whatever. Now let's bring in some integer. Shovels, trucks. Okay, we'll call it good there for now. We're just going to go here for now, right? Okay, so here we have ore per shovel, and we have the number of shovels, and let's start with, like, I don't know, a shovel. That's where we're going to start. And then we can have our money as well. So our stockpile is 0. We don't have any ore, right? And we need ore. So we're going to need our stuff here. And shovels will create X amount of ore, I don't know, say per day, I guess. Or maybe per hour. And then over 24 hours you need today. Sure, why not? Okay, so if that's the case, then what do we do? We can bring in a time thing, and let's, I don't know, int hour. So let's say here, let's int add hour, add 1. I guess we can just do a wait, I suppose. Yes, yeah, well, yeah, and you know what, you can call this one time. I guess that way you can speed time up too. You can add 1, and then we can go, you know, add time. Sure, that works. Alright, so time, let's start that at 1 so we don't, you know, explode something right off the bat. So what happens when we add time? Okay, well, we've added 1 hour. Let's int compare. Actually, this add time should be down here above that. So we've added an hour, and we can int compare. See, now we could do the wrap, and the wrap would do it automatically, but we also want to make sure that we send an event every time it's a day. So if hour is 25, if it's equal to that, it's a new day, right? If it's less than that, just keep going. Just keep doing it. All right, we're just going to go back. But if it's a new day, what are we going to do? We are going to we're going to set our hour back to 0, right? And then we're just going to go back up there as well. But we also want to send an event. We'll say to our time system, under our market, which is that guy there. I guess I can use owner. What? Is that where I did it? No. Mine production. Where did I put the other data? Oh, did I put it? No. Oh, I put it there on the bars. Okay, let's don't put things like there. That's a bad idea, right? Because it's not active. No, not active. Not active ain't gonna run. Right. So this can be our market FSM. There we go. So now. We can go over to our market FSM and say it's been a day, and we set our hours. We go back, right? Now we might also want let's just, I don't know, put like this down here, and we'll call this time. Right, so then every time this one, nope, not that one, that one. So every time this thing goes, we could probably just do it right back into here. Let's just build a string. Don't mind that one, that's a custom action I did. Let's build a string. We only need two parts. So we need the hours, the hour, and then we want, you know, like that. Not adding nothing to the end, and that's going to be our time string. And then let's just set this guy to the time string. Okay, cool. So as you see, he's climbing, and really if I go into this guy, right, because we have our time, let's put that out here so we can play with it, right? I mean, if I want to speed it up, technically I'm bringing the number down, right, and now it's going a lot quicker. So let's go take a look at our market. Well, I should move that clock, I suppose, but we can see, oh, and we're going to move that data. There we go. And the time, let's put the time like over here. Right, but yeah, so every time it hits the 24 hours, this thing's slowly adjusting as time goes on. Alright, so let's fix that guy's position, move data above market. Or you can just deactivate this stuff too. You can put another empty here and activate, deactivate things, not a big deal. So there we have that stuff. Alright, so the other thing we want to happen is if this guy is going to, I should just call this one time, and it has these I guess we just keep the logic in here. Normally I would do another FSM for this, but whatever, it's not going to be a big deal. It's just some math, right? So every time there's an hour, let's take float operator. Let's take our ore per shovel and shovels and multiply that, and this gets total ore from shovels, and we get another one of those, ore per truck, and multiply it by trucks, and that's going to be total ore from trucks. Alright, now let's just float add total that and add that one. It really doesn't matter for the order on there. And then let's, I guess, do another float add. I could use a float add multiple in this case. It would totally work. It would, because we're just adding it all in one spot, right? Because we can use total ore from shovels and total ore from trucks, and we're going into our ore stockpile. Then we don't need this one, right? And I guess we should have some sort of, maybe in the data for stockpile. I can stick it there, I suppose. Let's put, okay, that's going to be our stockpile. just a big ugly spot. I'll put it above the market so it hides it proper. So now let's just do this guy real quick. Drag him in at the bottom. So his text is the stockpile. Ba-doop. There we go. So that's going to do our amount of ore, right? And we could even name that or do whatever, right? So what does that tell you? We can kind of stick it anywhere, right? So if it's a new day, if it's going to keep going, let's just go up to here and then there, up to here and then in there, right? So now he's just part of that loop, right? All right, so every hour we're building our ore, and you know, maybe this has a limit. Maybe we got to upgrade our limit. I don't have an icon for my ore pile, but whatever the case is. Now, okay, so let's now go into. Actually, let's make one more. This one can be our money. Money, and it can sit like there and also be, say, above that. All right, so let's just loop that in with this guy. I suppose it really doesn't matter because he's not going to update until we sell our copper and gold. But whatever, we'll tie it in right here. It's not a big deal for this. And that's going to be, now we could just use our money, but what, is that any good? No. Let's make it look nice. Let's build strings. Because building strings is what cool people do. Right? So we're going to take a $sign, and then let's take our money, and then go .00, and this is our money string, and then we can set money string. There we go. There we go. A thing of beauty. We don't have any money yet. All right, so now if we want to, say, buy more shovels, we're gonna have to have some starting money for this, I guess, or something. I don't know. Something will have to happen. Now we'll say we have $50 we're starting off with. Now, okay, so let's build another one of these things, and we'll say, okay, int compare. Now, you know what? We're not going to do that. What's that going to be? We're going to say ore per seg, and maybe it will be, I don't know, we'll say 3. All right, so I guess the other thing we need is a number of segs. You know what? We should maybe start with one of those. That will, no, I don't know. So many different ways, I suppose. All right, so float operator. and we are going to take ore per seg, and we're going to multiply that by number of segs, ore consumed, and then we are going to, I guess, let's do a float compare. And if ore consumed is less than the ore stockpile, or equal, use all consumed. If it's greater, obviously we can't go into the negatives, right? So it's kind of like an ammo clip and stuff when you're making a shooter games. So this guy's gonna actually come down here now because he's gonna be part of this. We get our ore, and now we're gonna process our ore. So if we're gonna use all that's consumed, what does that mean? We're gonna take float operator. So ore stockpile minus ore consumed equals the ore stockpile. Fair enough. And then we need to, I guess we need ore consumed. See, I wonder if we should tie this one in with it too. Right? Because then, like, we'd have to add them together. Right? So, ore consumed, float operator. Oh, we need another one of those. So, we need ore per seg, ore per floats, and then we also have a integer for a number of, you know, I don't know if I'll get through like all of these objects. It might take a while. Number of floats, multiply that. So okay, so that's not going to be ore consumed. That's going to be ore consumed by seg. This one can be ore consumed by floats. And then we can do the float add multiple. So ore consumed there equals the ore consumed. And then this part still applies. Okay, so now that we've got there, so use all consumed. So that means that we can stockpile, subtract the ore consumed, and now we have a new variable. Processed ore, we'll call it. Should actually be reduced by like vast amounts, but we're not going to do that. Float add. So we're going to take the processed ore and add, we're just going to add ore consumed. That's our new processed, right? Stick him out there so we keep an eye on him. I mean, we could make another variable for him too. So we've processed ore, And now we want to go back there, just like that. And if we're going to use all the stockpile, it's a little different, right? Because we didn't get to, we obviously don't have enough things on our front end coming up, right? You'd have to buy more to increase that, yeah, that whole thing. So what are we going to do? We have essentially this kind of same idea, I suppose, but we're not going to bring in the ore consumed. We're just going to add the stockpile, and that can actually go away. Float set, because we've processed the whole stockpile, right? So the stockpile is now 0, and anything that was in the stockpile is now processed, and then it goes over here. There we go. So we can, you know, adjust some colors here. You know, there's, you know, the pit side, the mill side, and then of course we have to do the shipping side, and yada yada. So now we're having our ore processed. Let's take a look at a few things. Here's our ore stockpile. So we have a stockpile happening. Cool, cool. All right, let's buy stuff. Let's set that logic in, right? So we have buttons here. Now we got a whole whack of buttons to add. I'm just going to add a couple of them though. So we have, where is our shovel? There's our shovel. Ah, crap, I didn't mean to do that. Control Z. And let's put him there. Buy shovel. And then let's do a buy trucks. All right. So if we were going to say buy a shovel, what are we going to do? We are going to int compare, right? And that means we need to get FSM int, because we need to know how much money we have. So we go into our production and we check out our money and we get our money. And then we say, okay, is money less than the price of a shovel? Now in reality, they are millions and millions of dollars. We're going to say they are 25. Got them on sale, I suppose. So if money is greater, we can buy. If it's equal, we can buy. If it's less, we can't buy. If we can't buy, just go back. Waste of time hitting the button, doesn't matter. So if we can buy, what are we going to do? We are going to int subtract money by 25, by that price, set FSM int. So we need to tell our money that we have reduced it. So it is now money equals money. And then we want to int add. I happen to have add to FSM int. That's on the ecosystem. Ecosystem's not on right now. So I'll try to do it without that. So we also need to get production, and we're going to get shovels. So we'll just call that equipment, so we can reuse that without it being too confusing. Add 1. And we need another set FSM int at the end, because we want to add shovels equipment. So we get it, we've added it, we set it back in, right? And we could more or less copy this logic pretty much for all of them. They're all going to be the same idea, right? They'll all be slightly different, right? Because maybe a truck is only, you know, $15, right? So that's $15. If we can't buy, and if we can finish, we just go there. Mind you, I'm not going to be using the progress bars this way because time is based on that, unless those have their own time. Totally doable. I don't know if we're going to bother getting to that. Alright, so then we have processed ore. You know what, I should have built one of those. I made it so I can buy one of those so we can see the processed ore actually climb and the stockpile go down. Right. Okay, so let's just go into that real quick. And by that I meant this one. Because like I said, like these will all literally be the same thing. Right? So let's add one more. And now we do, I guess, trucking. And if we can't buy, we go back up there, and he goes back up there, and maybe trucking, you know, maybe they're only $10 because they're super cheap. Oh yeah, and we also have to make sure these are set up. I don't know if I did that right last time. So we did the money. Okay, here is $25, and shovels go up by 1. This one's $15. And no, see we did that? So we're doing trucks, and then trucks. So this guy's $10, and he's going to be, we don't have a variable for him yet. So let's make int number of trucking and float. You don't have to use variables for this, but processed per trucking. Right? Maybe he takes like, I don't know, 5. For example, actually it'd probably be like way less. Yeah. Alright. Well, no, we'll go like this. Whoa. All these values obviously would have to adjust pretty huge for this to make much sense. Alright, so now, okay, so 10, 10. So here we're going to take number of trucking, add one, $10, number of trucking. The actual variable there, which is why I called it equipment, because it doesn't matter, right? We're using it on all of them. It's just pulling a value, filling it, adding it, setting it. It's not a big deal. All right, so now we have trucking. Now we're not actually doing anything with trucking. Trucking would have to go to shipping. Right, which I guess those two could feed the same thing and just go to the smelter. And then the smelter, we'd get our raw gold or whatever, and we can go to market and then sell it. Makes sense? Alright, so we are seeing our ore stockpile climb. And if of course we didn't add any windows or anything. If I click on him, Like normally you'd want to bring up a window, be like, do you want to buy, yes or no, and then you hit yes, and then you buy it. But that's okay. Oh, I should. Why did I do that? I should have. I bought the truck. I have a truck, but I'm supposed to be doing this guy. Right. All right. So I guess we need to do another one. Let's do. By say. So by say, we'll just copy this stuff. Boop. Stick it down here. By seg. Now, if you're doing a lot of this stuff, so instead of having all these branches, personally I find this, I use this trick a lot. But I just do this. I go like that, right? So then it's like, okay, so if I can't buy, let's just use return, delete that, right? And then this guy here, instead of using the finish, you'll find this helps clean things up dramatically, right? Like I say, you don't have to do that. But, I mean, if you wanted to, like that works. I mean, you have a lot less lines, so it's a lot easier. Especially if you start, like if I built like 10 of these things, we'd be way down there dragging the lines all over the fucking place, right? So when you do stuff like that, it just makes life a lot easier. All right, so, okay, we're buying a segmail. So segmail, let's say they're 20. And we come over here, and of course we need a new variable, and it's 20. So let's get into here and be number of segs. Oh, and then or processed by seg. I don't know if I already did that one. Did I do that one? We'll say 1. Now those could also be on their own times too. I think I mentioned that before. Where are we here? So number of segs, 20, number of segs. There we go. So we should probably do this guy. All right. So we're okay. We do have that part in there. Okay. Well, then there we go. Right, so if we got 50 bucks, we have a stockpile, I can buy this guy. Our money went down. It doesn't go down instantly because it updates on the hour thing, right? But we now have, as you can see, it's trying to process. So as much as we're making here, it's attempting to process that, and apparently it's like just stuck or not doing something worse shit. So it's getting total ore per truck. 10 trucks, so that one's not doing anything. Ore from shovels. But we should be going up 0.5. Ore per seg. Number of segs is 1. Ore consumed, ore stockpile. We got something weird in our math, don't we? We got something weird happening in our math. Alright, so we get ore per shovel. That part seems to be working just fine. It's going in there and we're building up our stockpile. So the stockpile says ore per seg, number of segs, ore consumed by seg, ore per floats by number of floats, ore consumed by floats. That part's all normal. So our total ore consumed, if ore consumed to our stockpile, which makes sense. Well, I might have that backwards though. So if well, let's see this for a second here. But as you can tell, like I'm literally just building a stack of logic. Like this thing can go on forever. We can do all sorts of different things with this, right? Use all consumed. So right now we're not subtracting anything, it's just building a stockpile. And if I build this guy, he's going down. He was draining hard. So ore stockpile, ore consumed. Oh wait, there's something weird happening there. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Our ore consumed is a rate, right? So if our rate is that, okay, that makes sense there. So if our ore consumed is greater than the stockpile, we're using the stockpile. So the stockpile goes to 0. Our processed ore, we add the stockpile. That makes sense. And this guy here, it's screwed up, right? Because if we are under use the consume stuff, not just drain the stockpile, all we want to do is subtract the consumed and add the consumed, right? We want to subtract the stockpile. We want to add the consumed. That seems fine. That's really what we have there. Unless it's just so late, maybe I'm not thinking anymore. My brain shut off. What happened? Right? So the ore per seg bill, ore per seg is 3. I mean, that it's pretty freaking high. Especially when we're only getting 0.5 right now. Right? Because he comes down. The seg mill is consuming that, and it's just dropping it over there, and it's taking this route, and that one's fine. It's when we come over here that things get messed up then. Yeah, because now we're here and things are messed up. So the stockpile is 0. Oh, well, freaking Lord, Thunder, and Jesus. Action order is important, right? Because we're adding the stockpile and then zeroing the stockpile. Lord Thunder. And I was zeroing it and then adding it. I'm adding 0. Oh my lord, it's so stupid of me. Right, okay, so our stockpile's up. So I buy that. You know, our money goes down. But now we can see like he's going up by 0.5 because that's all we're producing because we need more, right? If I buy that. You know, now we're starting to go a little faster. We got 15 left. Buy that. I'm producing more and more ore. are processed, but we don't have any trucking yet. Right, so let's do, I don't know, I mean, I don't know, I should probably skip that part of it, because I was going to do trucking, shipping, smelting, but it's the same process. I think we should skip that. Mind you, I haven't used the process bar, and do the selling so we get the money, so we can see that part. So this video isn't, it's already over an hour, insanely long. So let's do that, and then at least we have somewhat of a cycle where we can just go, and then it can just expand from there. I mean, I'm not going to be expanding it, but hopefully you'll have the idea. So what are we going to do? So if we go into the market, we need a button. We're going to make another button, and this one's going to be our sell button, right? And our sell button, and it's going to sit right freaking there. So we're just going to hop right back over to this guy, because we might as well just stick our buttons here, because I like them all in one spot for this type of stuff. So which is why I was going to take this and put it into a different FSM, put all the buttons in one, but whatever, it's not like it's going to be that much there. Like, it's just some math happening here, right? So we have sell. So what is selling? I'm going to go over to this side. Doop. So selling is, in this case now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take the process, multiply it by the stock price, and then we'll get the money. Fair enough. And then, you know, that could be, of course, automated. Maybe that's what the ships do, or whatever the case is. But what does that mean? Let's do get FSM float. So we're going to get from owner the market current, we'll say copper price, and this is where you could easily put in a few different buttons and have, if you were to do a mine, be doing different ores, and maybe you can buy different things and start and stop different things, be producing different ores and try to sell stuff different, produce it based on a stock market. So whatever. Copper price. Now we have a copper price. Float operator. We're going to take the copper price and we're going to multiply it by our, we need to get FSM int. Yes, because we need our processed ore. Right? I don't know why I keep doing that. It's so stupid of me. So mine production. Is that a float? Is that a float? It is a float. Alright, so process copper, multiply them, and that's going to be our float price. Now our money is an integer, and I did that on purpose. So now I want to convert float to int, because we don't want 0.0006485 fucking whatever dollars. That's silly. Hey, you can if you want. And let's take that as to cash made, and then we're going to get FSM int. So we're going to go up to the mine production, and we're going to get money and store it as money. I don't think we have money here other than the variable that we use over there, and we're going to go round down. You can round up, down, don't matter. int add and FSM int set. Need both of those in there. So action order, very important. You already bit us once, so I want to bite you again. So we want to take money, cash made, of course they get added, go back over to mine production, go to money, and it is now money. Money sets money. And back over here, back to our button holder guy. All right. So now we have got some more happening, and we need this guy. Start draining that down. We really should put it like that on the screen, but we can see it up here, so it's not a big deal. And right, so we're getting there. We got our $30. I'm gonna buy another. Can I buy another shovel? Buy another shovel. Oh man, that was so much money. $5 to my name. So now, okay, we have like 20 processed ore. Coppers, wherever the hell it's at. We didn't put a value to it, I guess. I mean, we could put something on the screen, and we say sell. Now go back to our mine. Of course, we should have had a pop up, but no, we have $83. And you know what we didn't do? We didn't zero out our processed ore. Probably should have done that. Where's our buttons? Okay, because the other thing we want to do is set FSM int float. It's a float. The processed ore to 0. There we go. Right, so let's get this guy and that guy again. So we can get our processed ore happening. We go to our market, we hit sell, we go back to the mine, we have our $40. I'm gonna buy another one of those. And that. Oh man, we're making cash now. More shovels, right? And like, you really could link that, like you can do all sorts of graphics and stuff too to make it look cool, and piles getting bigger and smaller, and like maybe these things have to feed these feed that. Like I've got like those feeding this feeding that, and that's kind of it. But I mean, you could link these all together, and you could do all sorts of different crazy things, right? So I'm gonna buy another one of those and buy that. We sell, go back to the mine. Oh, look at all the money we got now, right? Kind of made our own little tiny mini game here. I mean, it's only kind of partially complete and ugly as hell, but hey, it's all good. Let's look at the money I'm pulling in now, right? You can click this as fast as you want to. It really doesn't matter. Why is this ore stockpile saying 0 and this one's saying 33? I actually find that kind of weird that it's doing that. There might be a slight issue with our math. Right, because he's work per shovel. We have 221 shovels. You're getting 100 and some odd ore per truck. Or stockpile. Why is our stockpile still showing 0 there? It doesn't make any sense. Right, like that's ore stockpile, because it's coming down here. Ore consumed. So when it comes here, ore consumed is greater than our stockpile. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think there is some math issues there. I mean, not that worried about it right now, but yeah, I think it's just late. Now, the one issue with this way is if you want to get into some of the really, really big, stupid numbers, you have to kind of develop your own little system, like, you know, where they like, oh, it's 6 trillion, whatever, decibillion, you know, shit like that. Those like those aren't typically like you're not going like, oh, you know, we're at this much money kind of idea, right? Because this is what you get. Like, Unity does not like that, right? It doesn't even like that. That's 9. Oh, damn it. Right, that's kind of as high as you can go. And that's also, like, if you start adding decibels, it's a whole nother thing, right? Because if I go, oh, well, it's not showing here, but yeah, it'll screw it up too. Actually, I can do this though. Oh. Okay, well, it's still screwing it up. That's whatever. But anyways, yeah, so if you want the really big numbers, we have to swap over and use doubles, which will allow you to do a bigger thing, which we need custom action for, because Playmaker doesn't do doubles. Not that it's hard to do, it's quite easy to make actions for it. Or when, you know, like when you're dealing with money and you see your money, wherever the hell my money is, it's probably not even in this one, and your money is to a certain point, you literally just zero it, put a word in front of it, or maybe put like you would have kind of like 2 values, right? Like, this is my millions, you know, and this one's my thousands. And you could start to build your own stuff from there. So it's like, oh, I've hit 1,000 of these, I'm going to zero that and add 1 to my millions kind of idea. And then you kind of keep going. And you could do that until the cows come home. It's not a big deal. But anyways, there is a little bit, even though I got an error in my math somewhere. That definitely took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but hopefully you can kind of see how that kind of goes. Said now I'm using time, such as we just kind of run through and do this. These don't have to run off of, oh, you have these 2 variables. We actually could put a little bit of logic on these things to use the bars, right? Like, for example, I'll show you something real quick. I should probably come out of play mode because nothing's going to save. If we have, what would be the best way to do this? Let's use a float called rate, right? And let's say our, we'll call it limit. And when he hits 50, he will produce something. Produced. Right. So essentially, what we'll do is say on time, or whatever it is. All we're going to do is say actually no, let's do it this way. So we're going to take time, we'll just add 1 per second, get rid of this one, and float compare. You know, when time hits the rate or whatever, we could say, you know, 32. When it's greater than that, let's reset this, and that's going to be every frame. And when that happens, what we're going to do is set float value. We need 2 of those, and time can go to 0, or produced, well, you know, 15, sure, right? And that could be a multiplied value as well. And then we just kind of go right back over to here. And this will actually be a start state. Let's just go there. And that also means that time divided by whatever the value this is, which could be a variable, divided by that is going to give us a percent every frame. And that could be a fill rate of our progress bar. Just like that. So then, if we come up to here, when we come up into shovels, right, perhaps instead of ore per shovel type of idea, total ore from shovels, and we can still bring a number in there and multiply things, but let's just go like this: get FSM float, and we're just gonna go grab the ore from our little shovel there, the ore produced, and that's going to be our total ore from shovels. There we go. And then the other thing we would need to do then is set FSM float. Make sure the action order is done right. Don't want that case happening again. The ore produced to 0. Right? So we grab it and we set it. And in the same thing. As long as the action order is done right, everything works just fine like that. Right? And now you'll see what kind of a bit of a difference this is. And you can kind of mix and match these things and add all sorts of just crazy little things in the FSMs. Right? But now he's using the bar. He's going up, and we're not getting any ore. right? We're like, what the hell? Where's our fucking ore, man? But that's the thing, right? As he comes up, he puts the ore in, or he adds the ore. Now we've as this thing comes by, he picks it up and takes it. Now we have our ore, right? So I mean, it would work the same way, and we could adjust things and adjust this time and stuff like that, and put up whatever multipliers we want on everything, right? But he could just, and these could all run at different speeds and different things, and but there's a way that you could now do that sliding bar thing. Maybe every shovel that, you know, this time gets cut in half or whatever, who knows. But beyond that, I mean, it would still work just the same. So hopefully just playing around with this type of logic has helped you guys, hopefully. So I really don't plan to expand this or anything. It's kind of me just dicking around and playing, right? But yeah, so hopefully this is useful.